Welcome back to the Boro Breakdown podcast with me, Jonny, Dana, and Elliott. And we are the Boro podcast that gives you the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs of Middle Football Club. Before we get started this week, guys, if you haven't given us a follow on the podcast apps, why haven't you? It's the only way you won't miss out on any of the Boro Breakdown podcasts. And next year, we've got some really exciting plans made, which we're hoping to announce in the next couple of days. So keep an eye on our socials for that. But trust me, I'm really excited to tell you what we've got for the next year. But let's chat about something more exciting than that. I know it's about the Boro lately, and Boro have made it 3 wins from 3 in the Championship this week, with wins over Millwall, Luton, and Aitor Karanka's Birmingham City, moving Boro up to 6th place in the Championship table. 3 points, I think it's 3 points or 4 points off the automatic places. Dan, I'm going to kick things off with you. A resounding win yesterday. 8 goals in 3 games for Boro now, and it's a massive turnaround from the previous week where we played Preston and Stoke, where we looked very, very lacklustre. How have Boro managed to turn this around in such a short space of time?
Well, I think going into the Birmingham game, the games that came before against both Millwall and Luton definitely contributed to the confidence of the team, and you saw that just ooze out of them yesterday. And they're 2 very different wins in the sense that the Millwall game was really quite convincing. We were very clinical, ruthless up front, and then we had to really grind out that Luton game. So games like that and performances like that gave the team confidence, which we saw yesterday. But before, the 3 games that we've won, we've had a change of tact, and Craig Johns put a really good article out in the Gazette this week about the tactical analysis behind Boro's run, and we've started to get the ball upfield a lot quicker, whereas before we've maybe tried to be a little bit patient with it. We've gone straight upfield, either directly or through the wide areas, and there was one thing that he mentioned where Boro are overloading on one flank, and then it frees up space for Johnson on the opposite flank, which is why Johnson's had such joy down that left-hand side recently in recent games, and it's just allowed that outlet, I guess, whereas before it's been a bit stuck. We've been a bit stuck trying to get into those areas, whereas now we are more fluid. We're getting the ball forward a lot more, and yeah, it definitely it contributes both in tact and in confidence. We've really elevated our game recently.
I'd agree. I think what Craig mentioned there is something that we've been pretty much saying for the last few weeks of us. We're not gambling in front of the box or not trying to get bodies forward, and we're trying to be defensive first, and we're being very static. So it's nice to see we've made those amends. Els, do you think Boro of the pennies kind of dropped with us now, going forward? These three impressive performances this week start to become more important in front of goal. Do you think Craig was right in his assessment, really, to say Boro have started to take a chance and gamble in front of goal now?
Yeah, I think so. You can see from a couple of the goals yesterday that we were a bit more direct. The goals themselves kind of sometimes came out of nothing, and for a period of the game we could have been 2 or 3 down from a couple of Scott Hogan chances. But I think obviously some of our goals, it was kind of normally when we'd kind of teeter around the edge of the box and move it from side to side and not really penetrate the box, we've tried to get something in early. And obviously it does rely on quality deliveries, which some of the passes yesterday, it was a little bit more accurate than normal. So I think obviously it does come down to that as well, that that the wingers have got to be on point, and Johnson, we know, sometimes can be Neymar and sometimes can be Marvin Emmet. So yeah, so I think they have become a lot more important in the past few weeks. We still sometimes, I think, have to look at the opposition, because I think if these 3 games were Bournemouth, Swansea and Watford, for example, would we have scored the same? Probably not. But at the same time, I think the confidence has helped, and I think probably things that they've done in training has helped as well. I think Saville gambling to get into the box yesterday for his goal, and sort of having that awareness in the box has been very good. So the goals are chipping in from elsewhere other than just the 2 strikers and Johnson. So it's really pleasing to see.
It's massive that everyone's contributing to the goals, especially when we don't score as many. But now I think we've scored more than 2 teams in the playoff places as well. So it's nice to see that. But also, Dana, 3 wins from 3. I know I've said it 3 times now, but starting that build of momentum, and Boro have got some good fixtures coming up over the next few weeks. Can this be the time where Boro really do put a run together and start to become real playoff contenders?
It remains to be seen. I mean, I know we do have a favourable run, but that's exactly why it scares me a little bit, because we've seen many a time, particularly under Tony Mowbray, that a Boro team will gain a lot of momentum and put in a lot of good performances and get a lot of results towards the back end of the year, and then they tail off January onwards. And I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen under Neil Warnock, but I will look towards probably early February, and if we're still in and around the top 6 in that time, then I don't see why not, because we are in good form. We do have a very good team that is just, just the confidence is just oozing out of them, and I just think that as long as we can keep this up, 100% we can mount or establish ourselves in the playoff places. But I'm going to keep my feet firmly on the ground. I mean, I know it's good to dream and everything, but we do support Boro, so you never know what will happen.
Well, I think it remains to be seen, but I think our fans this year should not have any expectation at all. I think with the season we had last year under Jonathan Woodgate, I don't think we should. I think we should just be happy to be where we are and be happy wherever we finish, as long as there's an improvement from last year. 33 points. I'm still looking for that 50 points, and as soon as we hit 50 points, then I'll be happy with that. Absolutely. But we've got a first question of the day, guys. It's from Tom Muldowney. And Tom's asked, have we been surprised? Has Warnock been what we expected, or has he surprised us? Open question. Els, do you want to take it? Has Neil Warnock been what you expected, or has he surprised you?
I think in terms of the way we've played, it's maybe been what we've expected. I maybe didn't expect to have some of these past results of blowing teams away 3-0 and 4-1. But I think obviously in the earlier part of the season and some of the games where we have ground out results, I think maybe expected a bit of that. But in terms of the way he is as a manager, the charisma he brings, the confidence he brings, the way he manages people, I think that took me by surprise. I think before, or sometimes you see in the media, all you really see of Neil Warnock is, a bit of snippets and whatnot, and odd bits when he doesn't manage our club. But I maybe wasn't expecting it to be that good in a way he can sort of, motivate players and really turn players from what we've seen last year of Mark Boro and Anthony Dyksdale to what they are now. I wasn't expecting that at all. So, yeah, I was, I'm going to hold my hands up and admit when we first done that first podcast about him, I was a little bit wrong on that. I'm really kind of pleased that we are where we are now based on that appointment.
Yeah, well, you do get what you want. You get with Neil Warnock, really. I think when I put the tweet out yesterday, I said that we're not the most entertaining team in the league, but I tell you what, we're definitely the most hard-working side in the whole division. That's what you want as a fan, really. If you can see your team working harder than the opposition and trying to grind out a result and get something out of nothing, then tell you what, you can't ask for much more than that, really. Apart from that, I think you're looking for real possession dominance, or like really sexy football, which people quote with like Pep and Klopp. So with Neil Warnock, like I tell you what, I said at the start of the season, the preview podcast, like if we were the hardest working the team in the division, then I'd be happy, and I'm really happy with what we've been doing this year. Dana, would you agree with Els? Is Neil Warnock being what you expected, or has he surprised you?
He's definitely surprised me. What Elliott was saying there about that podcast that we recorded. I remember, I don't think all of us were fully against it, but none of us were fully for it either, because I think we also wanted a project, I guess. At least that's what I wanted. And there's this sort of perception of older managers that they are very direct, negative, set up to be defensive. And in fairness, I feel as though Neil Warnock has adjusted to what football is now. It's obviously changed, it's evolved a lot, and I feel like he has moved with the times. And you see yesterday Paddy McNair doing overlaps in the 92nd minute. Mark Bowler started something, honestly, because it was Mark Bowler, then it was Dyksdale, now it's Paddy McNair, and he keeps saying they're going to earn me a bad reputation with this attacking football, and we have played some good stuff this season. So he's adapted, he's changed formation, he's changed formula. We've started the season with a 3-5-2. We've changed to like a 4-3-3. We've played different formations. I feel as though he's definitely surprised me, and what hasn't surprised me is his enthusiasm. I watched every Neil Warnock press conference. I never watched every Tony Pulis one, every Jonathan Woodgate one, and every Gary Monk one, but I just have to watch every Neil Warnock one because he's just a golden quote machine, isn't he? He just gets it, Neil Warnock, and it's very hard to dislike him. So yeah, I really can't complain with what he's given us so far.
He's great for content, isn't he? He's absolutely superb for content. You know, it's comedy gold for us. But yeah, it's nice to see that he's surprised you to some extent. You kind of know what you're getting with Neil Warnock when he comes in. You know you're going to get a hard-working, horrible side, and yeah, slowly becoming that. But it's nice, and you're right, then he has adjusted his tactics slightly to become more aggressive and more with the times. So it's nice to see him hit the ground running. I'm very, very sure that he'll probably do another year with us as well. So, but let's move on, guys. Let's chat about Luton.
The main difference I just wanted to say quickly on Neil Warnock, and what Dana mentioned there about sort of changing with the times is like with Tony Pulis, he'll always try and play the same no matter where he goes, and he will try and bring in players to shoehorn his way of playing football, bring in tall, fullbacks to play there. Whereas I think, obviously, Warnock, when he goes to clubs, and particularly he's had to do it, I guess, because of the transfer window, but, get the best out of the players that are already there. And if you are bringing in players, you're going to get the best out of everyone. There hasn't been many consistently poor performers this season, so I think that's kind of the key difference, really. So
I think it's a spot-on point, Els. I completely agree with you. I think you're spot on with assessment of the players that are already there improving. Like you just think Dijksteel, Boro, hopefully Marcus Brown when he comes back. McNair's doing a lot better this year. The adjustment he's made is fantastic with those type of players, but also players that are going to come in, they're trying to dislodge these players now from the positions that they're already in and what they're trying to make their own. So this breeds competition as well, and that's what you want. You want competition on the training ground, you want competition on the pitch as well, and hopefully we get a good balance of that, and hopefully it goes in our favour at the back end of January and towards the end of the season. It's definitely making me nervous from the tattoo now anyway, so it's well, I'm actually not that nervous yet, but you got to try and say something. But I think let's chat about the Luton game first before we move into to Birmingham yesterday. A couple of points before we move on, but wasn't really an eventful game at all, but Chuba Akpom scoring his first goal since QPR. And was it QPR?
Barnsley.
Or was it one after?
It was Barnsley.
Barnsley. I was trying to think of which game it was. But yeah, his first goal in many games, giving Boro all 3 points at the Riverside Stadium. But Els, game where Boro had to grind out a result, Akpom scoring, he's finally broke his duck now. How important is it for him and the side that he starts to get back up and running again, especially when he starts scoring more goals?
Yeah, it'd been a long time without a goal for him, hasn't it? And I think he's tried to work his hardest as well in some games where it's just been not made for him. We've talked about his potential strengths in the team and that he might work better in the two. I don't think we're going to change to that anytime soon, really. I think the 4-3-3 is now kind of firmly in place. Might change when Fletcher comes back, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think Akpom, it was really important for him to get that goal. Obviously, not that he was dropped, but he was, obviously rotated out of the squad again today. But it just kind of builds the notion that they are a team, and I bet they were all happy for him when they scored. We've heard a lot of things this season that when they went into the dressing room, a lot of players have, they've all kind of congratulated players on the first goals or scoring again or having a good game and whatnot. So I think, it's good for him and the team overall.
Chuba Akpom. He's going to slowly start coming back if he starts scoring more goals. But the one big controversial moment of the game, Dan, and I feel like we have to go over it, even though it's happened, it's been resolved, and we've played a game since. But Morsey, the red card, of course. Of course, it was rescinded now, and he played yesterday. But at the time, did you think it was a red card, and do you think Boro have been a bit fortunate to get it overturned?
Yeah, we discussed this on the group chat, didn't we? And initially I thought that's the worst decision I've ever seen. But I can understand why the referee gave it as a red, because, I mean, there's a lot of details, there's a lot of, the close proximity, but he does stop a clear goal scoring opportunity. He does actually lean into it with his elbow, and I mean, he slips. So does that take away the whole thing? I don't know. I feel as though we were somewhat a little bit fortunate to get that rescinded, because it's his elbow that comes out, and I feel like Sam Morsey knows what he's doing there. I don't know what anyone else thinks of that. It might be a controversial decision, but I do feel as though he knows what he's doing, and he just tries to block it. I know he slipped, but I do feel as though he meant to do that, or he meant to put his elbow out, sorry.
Yeah, it's I think it was a great save, though. You know what I mean?
It was, yeah.
He turned his back, and he wasn't even facing the ball, and he still managed to save it. But I think I probably agree with you. I think it was a red at the time, but I think it would have been very, very harsh for us to have a 3-match ban for something where I don't think. I'm not Sam Morsey, so I don't know the full intent of it, but I feel like it kind of was a red at the time. But I feel like that was kind of the best punishment you could possibly get for those type of things, really. I don't think it was. I can't say it was full intent either, but it's the red card at the time was probably the best they could do with it. I don't think it could have given him an extra period of time off, really, with the red card. But he could have had a nice Christmas off. But now look, he has to play now.
Yeah.
I bet he was livid.
I bet he's fuming. Yeah, he was trying to do a Danny Ayala, wasn't he? What else? Defensively, though, when we went down to 10 men after the double kick penalty, by the way, Dana, just a quick question, yes or no? Do kick penalty decisions change your mind?
Oh, no, I still think they're stupid. But, hey, I'm not going to complain. It went for us this time.
Yeah, it's worked. Karma came back around,
yeah,
hasn't it?
It did. It did.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the first question on the sheet this week.
That's so weird, though, that happened, considering it feels like it was literally yesterday that Tav slipped. How many times in a season do you have double kicks? We've had 2 in, a couple of weeks? Like that.
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
In the same stadium at the different end. It's just the chances of that happening must be good 1,000,000 to 1 or something.
Very strange.
But us defensively, when we went down to 10 men, we looked really solid. I thought we looked superb at times, and we were really hard to break down. Is this Boro team, can you compare it to Iorca Ranker's side in 15-16, where they just seemed to grind out results when the back was against the wall?
Yeah, I think so. I think we kind of had to be very defensive. I don't think we were going to try to go for another goal, although we did get a very good chance, which could have got me 3 points, which wouldn't have even been mine because it was Tom's prediction. But when Tav got through on goal, I was like, right, if I get 3 points from this is probably be the only 3 points I'll get all season, but it'll be amazing. But we didn't score, and but I think obviously we dug in quite well, and we sat in and we had to make it frustrating for them because they weren't a terrible side. Luton, they're actually doing quite well this season from again where they were last year, and only second year in the division. So yeah, I think we kind of had to dig in. We knew that they're capable of creating chances, obviously from that chance they had before the actual penalty. So yeah, all round when it comes down to it, we can defend well. There's been some weeks where we've been a bit ropey and letting 3 goals away at Preston. That was a bit strange, but I think the return of Dijksteel has been quite good. I think maybe the house and sort of injury as well, as we've maybe said, we were saying about it as about a formation change at one point, but maybe being a blessing in disguise of other players coming in and maybe other players performing different roles. So yeah.
And I think you're absolutely spot on. Players coming in and making the roles their own, really, and we'll come on to that in a second about Lewis Wing. But just before we go on to Birmingham, it was interesting to see Luton adopt a similar style of Boro on the Wednesday night, where they were using that man-marking system that Boro currently do, where if a left-back's trying to play against a right winger and the right winger comes into central, that left-back will follow him. They pretty much matched us in that front, and then also in that second half where they moved to more like a diamond. I thought they were really, it's probably the best word, It was aggressive formation change, but also I thought they were going to try to pressurise our defence a little bit more with the diamond and try and use the number 10 to get in and around the centre halves and create that little pocket of space. And I thought they looked really good Luton second half, and I think they're going to do okay this year. And I feel like they're really coming on to Nathan Jones, so it's nice to see them do well. But also it was a good test for us as well to beat a Luton side who have beat teams who they shouldn't really be beating. Over this last season. But let's chat about Birmingham. So fun fact time, guys. It was the first time that Boro have scored 4 away from home, more than 4 away from home since Millwall in 2014, where Jelle Vossen scored a hat-trick in a 5-1 win. But also the last time we won 4-1 away from home exactly was against Yeovil in the 13-14 season, also known as the Albert Adoma dance party. Jonny's fun fact of the day, and there'll be more of them coming with what I've been doing behind the scenes. So, Els, we'll keep it with you, mate. There's 2 changes to the side that won on Wednesday night against Luton. Lewis Swing and Britt Assombalonga came in the team for Watmore and Akpom, who have been very, very bright in the last couple of games. But the 2 players, Wing and Britt Assombalonga, they really proved the point yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with coming into the team and both getting a goal. Potentially 2 for Wing. It was his cross from the corner. So, I mean, you really can't complain with it. I think obviously Wing's had his stick this year. We still do know his flaws, and I think he still has them in part. But we know what his strengths are, and although it was poor goalkeeping, I think for probably both of the goals, he isn't afraid, again, like you were saying about gambling, to have a go from the edge of the box, and it paid off for him yesterday. So it was his best rating on who scored as well for all the games this season that he's been involved in. So yeah, you can't complain. Obviously Britt as well took his chance. It's one of those where, again, as we've said about him before, where when it's looks like an easier chance of 1-on-1, he's more prone to missing it, and that's like a bit of a tighter angle and a harder chance, and then he goes and scores it. And but yeah, it was quite reminiscent to the Coventry one, I think, where it was a 1 ball played through and he doesn't have time to think on it. I think, as we've said that before, when it's a bit of an instinct, he has it, and when he has too much time to think about it, I think he can overthink. But yeah, no, they've definitely, the 2 players that they replaced are the ones that have been scoring as well, Watmore and Akpom. So it's like, well, who do you play next? But I think obviously Wing coming in allowed that 3 in midfield and allowed Saville to kind of push on. It wasn't like there was 1 sitting and 2 in front. It was the other way around almost, where Saville was kind of playing more as a number 10 and was pushing it in the box a lot more. So yeah, very, very good changes.
It was. And then I want to come with you, but looking at the team in general, Elliott mentioned it there. We reverted to a 3 in midfield yesterday. Obviously, Aitor plays a 4-2-3-1, so it was important for us to probably match that formation in the centre. But I think you've looked at Aitor's formation. They looked like they were playing a different formation completely. But I'll let you go. Let you mention that a bit. What did Boro get right yesterday against an Aitor Karanka side who, I know they're struggling at home this year, but there probably will be a good side in the next few months if he gets backed. But can you, what did Neil Warnock get right yesterday in that 4-1 win?
Pretty much everything after 15-20 minutes. I mean, the game started quite sloppy. There was a lot of scrappy duels in the middle and a lot of aerial battles, and I don't think that either side really got a foothold on the game the first 15-20 minutes, and we did struggle to deal with Jeremy Bella and John Terrell in particular. But the goal that we conceded actually helped us because it lit a fire under our asses, whereas in previous away games you can see that our heads drop after we concede, and Preston, Huddersfield, the 2 games that stand out for me. But there wasn't a point during that game where I thought, that's it, the game's over, because we were playing well after we conceded and we battled really hard, and I think that is what we got right. It was the battle that we won. We looked like we wanted it. We looked like we were hungry for it, and epitomised no more so by Britt. I mean, I was so happy for him. Honestly, I can't describe the joy that came out of me when I saw that Britt scored, because he's been getting so many pelters, and it goes beyond criticism for me. I understand the comments about his game, but every time, like, Britt can't do anything right for Boro fans. There's even some people saying that, well, this is his first game in about 10 that he's played well, and fair enough, but, you know, why do people always have to bring it to negativity? I don't get it. But, you know, everyone was saying, why is he in the team? What does he offer? Well, that's exactly what he offers. That's his 7th goal now in 7 games against Birmingham. Got the best record against them out of any team that he's faced, and he played really well. Wing played well. He took his chance. Saville played really well as well. Johnson, the 2 centre halves, Paddy McNair and Dale Fry, the whole team just battled really hard, and wow, what a way to sign off before Christmas. This year's been shit. It's been absolutely horrible, and it's really good to see the Boro are a beaming light in what has been a really dark and dismal 2020.
Yeah, you've pretty much hit the nail on the head, haven't you, Dana, in terms of the general performance. I think
that's a snippet right there, by the way.
Yeah, I'm taking that as a snippet. Yeah, we'll say that. might have to cut the S word out, you know. But
well, yeah, I will do.
You just say shed. Just say shed.
No,
it's easier.
I think you hit. I think it makes the point more. It's well said, Dana. I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers. Up the Boro.
The Boro. But just in terms of the performance yesterday, we did look really, really good, and you hit the nail on the head there in terms of the individual performances and everyone coming together to get the result. And I think you're right. We did set that as soon as we conceded, there seemed to be a little fire that was ignited in the side, and we seemed to get ourselves ahead whilst not playing well, and it shows the signs of a really good side, but also a team that's full of confidence as well to actually do that. And it seemed like Karanka's team just pretty much crumbled in that second half. But hey, I'm not going to complain. I still love IR, but you've just been warnocked.
And we know how difficult it can be to unlock a Karanka side after they go 1-0 up. We saw it ourselves at Boro. The record that he had was unbelievable, and the fact that we completely blew that away. I mean, I had to double take and rub my eyes when I was watching the game, because I was thinking, firstly, we're winning away from home convincingly, and secondly, we've scored 4 goals. You know, that doesn't come around very often, and that was our second away win of the season, and honestly, what a way. I know I'm stealing your opening line here, but what a week. What a way that was to really sign off before Christmas. Just the perfect Christmas present for every Boro fan.
You can tell it's Christmas, can't you? 'Cause I'm not bothered by that now. I haven't said what we
haven't heard that in a while. It would have been perfect as well.
Bring it back.
Yeah,
we need that bring it back. We start recording again. Just go again. Just start what a week to bring it back. But I think that's just one point you mentioned, then, about Britain saying that he can never do anything right for Boro fans. I think you're right. I think Boro expect the world of Britt Assombalonga because of the price tag. It's the same with George Saville as well. But the critics are slowly starting to move away from that. I think with Britt, it's hard, and it's always hard for a centre forward because everyone expects them to have a record like Messi and Ronaldo, Haaland, and you know what I mean. They just expect us to have that consistency, which is probably not there, and it's the reason why we're in the Championship. This team is just not consistent, and players in this division in the lower leagues are just not consistent enough to have the quality, getting that consistency out of them. We are slowly starting to put a run together, and also having that consistency there might actually help Britt as well and start to deliver and score more goals. But look back off him a little bit. I know that I've criticised him a couple of times, and I won't say criticise, I've been critical and be like constructive around that. But I do think that I still have that view of he can leave at the end of the season. So
yeah,
we have to try and see. We either tie him down for another year, or we have to sell him essentially.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Obviously, to have the criticism. I mean, we're all football fans. We've criticised players. I mean, how many times have we criticised George Savile? He's shut us up. But I always feel as though it
I
does.
can't wait for the question I've got.
Yeah, I do feel as though with
Sorry.
Brit, it does go beyond the point of criticism, and it is unjust, and there is an agenda, and it's really quite sad and quite worrying to see. I mean, he does have his flaws without question. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's the best player that's ever donned a Boro shirt, because he isn't. But I'll always go that extra mile to support Brit, because I just feel as though he gets so much unfair criticism that, like I said, you just can't win. But he did really well yesterday, and he battled really hard, and he deserved that goal.
Agree, and hopefully keeps it going on. But we'll chat about another player as well who came at the side yesterday, and it's Lewis Wing. Wing scoring goals once again from 20 or 30 yards. One at the end, which was a very casual Lewis wingy banger, or casual wingy banger, as we like to call it. But Els, a player who's been out in the cold this year, in this season, but a player who not long ago Middlesbrough fans could not get enough of Lewis Wing. You know, he was that really creative outlet under Tony Pulis. Jonathan Woodgate's side, he would, you know, he'd come up with trumps with a few goals, but we've always criticised that positional play, and is he getting it right, and can he maybe add this to his game to become next level that we really want him to be. But he's been a player that's come out being the cold all season. But what impressed you yesterday about his performance? Because I thought he was very, very good.
Yeah, I think I think some of the work ethic is starting to pay off for him. Whether it's just a case of I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a mental or physical thing with him. I think it's the type of player he is. Some players aren't made to be, battlers, really, and I think he is almost like a flair player, if you like. So it isn't really his game, and I think that's why he hasn't started a lot of the games. Obviously, Howson has fitted a lot better into what you would class as a classic Neil Warnock side, and I think if Wing was going to have any opportunity, obviously he was going to have it through an injury. He's had it now. I thought he did relatively well yesterday. I think we need to see more of it in terms of the consistency if he keeps his place, which I hope he does, and just show that he can have that tenacious side in midfield, as well as obviously his showing off his passing and shooting as well. So yeah, it's good news for him. We thought at one point, when is he kind of ever going to get in, and will he potentially leave? But he's shown us that he's well worthy of a place in the squad. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, that little comment about Jonny Howson, saying it could be a blessing in disguise, it actually could be. Also, is a great shout. But then Lewis Wing, do you think on the display yesterday? I think Els touching it there, but do you think he deserves to keep his position now?
Ooh, that's a tough one, because
for the next game anyway.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I do think you have to take the opposition into account, and I don't want to take any credit away from Wing here, because the argument against him is that games often pass him by, and I don't think the game passed him by at all yesterday. He was still getting involved. He did look like he wasn't match fit, or 100% match fit, which is understandable. I can't recall the amount of starts that he's had this season, probably 2 or 3 maybe. So he's obviously lacking match sharpness, but he really impacted the game yesterday, and if anything it shows that he can bring something to the team, and that we all know what his shooting ability is like, and he's probably one of the best. I mean, I can't think of anybody better in this division than at shooting outside the box than Lewis Wing, so that's what he can offer us. But it's not just that, he does work hard. He still looks like a ragdoll when he's moving around the pitch. He looks like someone's teddy that they're just sort of chucking everywhere. But he's obviously he did he did.
Sorry, it's just I'm just like imagining it as you're saying it, and it's just like funny in my head.
I mean, it's true, to be fair. I mean that's what I think when I watch him move. Anyways, he did really well yesterday, and I think again another player. Everyone was saying why is Wing in the team, and I must admit when I saw the team sheet, there was a sharp intake of breath because Wing was starting, but you can't really do anything else really. I mean, he scored a goal, he contributed to the win, and I think he played really well.
I think he deserves the corner goal. There, I said it. I think he deserves the corner, and he deserves. Well, the second goal was already his anyway, but the first one, I think he deserves that. I think Etheridge doesn't want the own goal to his name. No, Wings pinged it around the back post. So
Is that a new one? Is it, Johnny, a wing ping?
wing casual wing ping.
Oh, can't wait for Boro to use that on the as the next hashtag.
Casual wing ping. It's good. That's it. That's the new one. I'm changing it. Casual wingy banger's gone. Gone. I'm not using it anymore. Casual wingy pingy is the new one. Casual wingy ping.
What was it last week? What was it? Warnock Wobble or something?
Warny wobble.
You go like this with
Yeah.
the hands behind the.
Hands behind you, and you just shake your hips. The Warny wobble.
Yeah,
Wobble.
everyone definitely needs to do that at Christmas.
Oh, we need to think of a dance for wing ping and say, are you a warny wobble or a wing ping? see what people go through more. See which type of dance they like better.
Well, we'll bring it out after this podcast. What's better, casual wingy pingy or Warny wobble? We'll go from the casual wingy pingy. I'm laughing at my own joke. I'm sad as I feel I'm delirious. With casual wingy pingy, then I know you said just then that you got had a bit of a sharp breath when Wing was in the team, but do you think he's overly criticised a little bit, similar to Britt? Like he came in Lewis Wing and he came on like a house on fire where he was scoring bangers left, right, and centre. And then he's kind of tailed off a little bit. But do you think he's overly criticised by fans and we should be getting behind him a lot more?
I think we should be getting behind the whole team, to be honest. What Neil Warnock has said is that rather than focusing so much on what they can't do, focus on what they can do. I'm trying to change my mindset to that. Obviously, we can't fully do that on the podcast because we need to criticise and look at the weaknesses of us to see where we can move forward. But Wing can offer us a lot in this team. It's just finding that position for him. I don't feel as though he's a number 10. I don't feel as though, he's definitely not a holding midfielder like Jonathan Woodgate put him in that position, but he has a place in the team. It's just, with Wing, I feel as though to get the best out of him, you have to build a team around him, and we are in no position to build a team around anybody. I mean, you see that with Patrick Roberts. He's not even, he's not getting a look in. I know he was ill yesterday, apparently, but he doesn't even get a look in, and he's probably the type of player that out of the whole squad, you would probably say build a team around him, but as for your question about does he get unjust criticism, I think maybe to a certain degree, but I wouldn't say it's all overly unfair, because he does have his weaknesses. It's unfair when people say that he doesn't look like he's trying, because he absolutely does, and he will put himself around, even though he does look like a ragdoll when he's doing so. But he does have his limitations. We know this, but the rise that he's had in this team from non-league, you have to applaud that and set it aside and think, hang on a second, let's lay off him a little bit, because he's trying to find his way in the team, and yesterday he did really, really well, and you can't really ask for much more than the contribution that he did have. So a little bit of I do feel as though some of it, as with all players, it will go overboard, but the majority I do feel as though is not unfair, but I think we should maybe trust him a little bit more.
I think it comes down to the opposition, like you said, Dana. There's some games where I just don't think it's well suited doing. If we're playing, Norwich, for example, or we're playing Brentford. Well, actually, he did start in a Brentford away game, so I'll completely take that back. But normally, I think in those games you would like to start somebody else. So I think you need, someone else in midfield who's a bit more tenacious and be a Sam Morsey type player and snap at the heels. So, and then obviously in games, I think where we're going to be, a bit more free flow and a bit more attacking, we're going to have a bit more opportunities and a bit more space. Then Wing's your guy. I think, especially when a Birmingham team's got Adam Clayton in there, who is really getting past his best now. Wing can find his space there, and it's not like even though we say he's not the most aggressive type or physical, you can be physical against Adam Clayton. He's like 5'3", so.
Oi, isn't Jonny 5'3"?
Well, I don't know. Johnny, how tall are you?
Actually, 7. I put 7. Thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah, Johnny's physical. I've a little shoulder barge of Johnny, and he knocked me off the ball. So,
Did actually knock off the ball, yeah. So take that back, yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I think Wingard. If we're going off pure like fights here, I think Wingard back play, and if we're going to go down that route, so. Yeah, so back to the point actually on Wing is I think the game has to be right for him what we play, but there's no reason why he can't make himself a regular and get into other games as well. I think he a bit like how Warnock's adapted his style to the needs of the team and different how football's changed over the years. I think Wing needs to also adapt in certain games as well. So.
Well, I'll take the insult that you try to call me a dwarf, and we'll carry on.
Purely on Clayton. Dana tried to change it to you.
Back off, Dana. You're smaller than me. I love you.
Fair.
But let's move on. We've got one or two more questions before I move on to January. January, the transfer window, and we'll break down Rotherham as well. But Marvin Johnson, Neymar for sure, George Saville, they've both been rejuvenated this year under Neil Warnock. 7 goals apiece. It contributed to 7 goals, and it's a fantastic return for the pair of them. First question, Els Johnson. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Should we be looking to extend this, just given his current performances over the last few weeks?
You mean like is he? It doesn't run out at the end of this season, like he has another year after this season.
Runs out the end of this season.
All right, okay. Probably like to think so. Again, I don't want to kind of dream and say, I think we could go up, but if we go up, it could be a step too far for Johnson. But that's all by the by. I think I think what he's offering the team now, he's deserved another contract. He obviously deserved it from the lockdown period when Warnock came in anyway, and obviously won himself a new contract there. And I think he's again proving what an asset he can be. His experience, I think, of playing as an out-and-out winger has benefited him. He took a little bit of time to adjust in the Championship, and obviously last year was the way we set up was poor for a lot of players in general. But considering he spent the majority of the time in League One, I think he stepped up very well at the Championship, improving, showing what he can do really. So, yeah, I think it'd be worth a new deal. Obviously, if it ends up that we end up someone managing to go up and we go up in the playoffs or something, he might not get a look in really in the Premier League. But who knows? At this point, I think it'd make good sense to do so.
Absolutely agree. And Dana, final question before I move on. Do we know what a George Saville is yet?
Yeah, we do. And he's always had that tenacity in him from when he joined from Millwall, but he's just needed to be played in his best position, and he is now, and he's getting the goals and the assists, and he's been one of our better performers this season for sure. And yeah, it's so good to see him shut us all up, because we did criticise him, didn't we, a lot of the time. We'd always said 8 million for George Saville, no chance. I mean, I still think that's a little bit too much, but yeah, a little bit steep, but he's slowly starting to repay that, and long may it continue, because he's been really, really good this season. He's just got that little bit of bite. He's added goals to his game, he's added assists to his game. He's no longer a passenger in that midfield, he's very much a part of it, and really, really happy with George Saville this season.
Fantastic, so I am too. Let's chat about January and the transfer window then. As you know, we're slowly, very, very quickly actually approaching the January window now. And Middlesbrough have a chance to amend and hopefully add to the squad that's currently performing really well in the Championship season. But then I'll keep with you. Patrick Roberts, I know he wasn't in the squad yesterday due to an illness, but he is set to leave Boro in January, but with Yannick Bolasie tipped to come in for him. Do you think that's probably good business for Boro? Maybe sending Roberts back, keeping the wages, and then bringing Bolasie in?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, time will tell. What you get with Bolasie is genuine width and pace, but you also get someone who is wildly frustrating and wildly inconsistent, but hopefully the positives outweigh the negatives. As for Patrick Roberts, the thing is I mean, I've never been so confused on a player than Patrick Roberts. I keep flip-flopping. It's like Boris Johnson, but I just don't know where I stand with him, because one week I'll think that he's a very good player and we definitely need him in the team, and then the next week I'll think the exact opposite. And what Boro are doing now is making it so that we're not looking at Patrick Roberts and thinking, oh, we should have put him on the pitch. I mean, we were a couple of weeks ago, but I'm just starting to feel as though Boro and Patrick Roberts are just not the right fit. And it's like I mentioned earlier, that I feel as though you need to build a team around Patrick Roberts, and we're simply not going to do that. We're not going to do that around every player, around any player, sorry, because every player needs to be really the team. So I don't know. It's like I said last week when Tom was on, this is his third loan spell now where he's failed to establish himself as a regular starter. That could potentially be a problem down to solely Patrick Roberts, but we won't know. We don't know the ins and outs of Boro, so we're not going to know the ins and outs of Girona and Norwich. But I feel as though it is time to probably just cut our losses and say goodbye. The writing is on the wall for me. I don't think, even if Boro want him to stay, that he will accept it, because he's not really going to he's not going to start every game. Even if he comes on from the bench as an impact player, I don't think he'll be happy with that. So, yeah, I can see him leaving.
Yeah, I probably agree. It's hard to, like, even argue. It's no point paying his wages if he's not going to play.
Yeah.
And we have the right to send him back as well. But Elle's next question is from Mark Stewart, and it says, do you think Gibbo will spend big in January, knowing we're in a chance for promotion? Does Gibbo back Warney, or does he stick to his budget?
It's a tough one, because I don't think there might be much available, in all honesty. It's a tough window anyway to navigate, as everyone says. So again, I don't think there'll be any deals really for an actual transfer fee. I think spending 2-3 million, was it, on Gibbo at the start might have been our lot, but I think obviously if Patrick Roberts goes, I think there'll be some more money added to kind of fund wages if there's loan. There'll be mainly loan deals, I think. I don't think there'll be many free agents kicking about either. Know that Ryan Shotton's now finally found a club. He joined Big Rudy at Melbourne Victory, so he might be one of the last of the free agents to found a club. But yeah, I think mainly loan deals we'll be looking at. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I think if you gamble and kind of do it and then it doesn't pay off, it could be catastrophic for the club in what is already a very poor financial period, because the way the UK is at the moment, it still seems like it could be a while off until fans get back in, and it's been a very long time without fan revenue, so it could be tough to kind of justify spending money and on the chance that we might only get in the playoffs, and even from there you've still got to navigate 3 games. So yeah, I don't feel like we will chance it. I feel like we'll try and get a good deal for us in the January transfer window.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on, Els. I really do. I think Boro have to be very careful this year. I think you're spot on with the uncertainty side of things as well. And if I'm honest, I don't think Boro fans should be expecting much in the January window at all. I think it's business first. I'd rather have Middlesbrough around for another 100 years than I would for 1 more year and going bankrupt because we've overspent in a window where we shouldn't have spent. So I think for us, we've got to be very, very careful how we work business and how we do it as well. And we might lose 2 or 3 in the window. If we can bring people in and a bit more quality, then that's fantastic for us. But it leads us nicely on to the next question. It's from Jake Varley, and it's kind of an open question. I'd be interested to see your opinions on it. But you say if we can pick 3 to 5 players to bring in this transfer window, who should we look to bring in, and why do you think they would be a good fit? I know we said that it would be quite good to stick to budget, but also if we have the opportunity to bring in 3 to 5 players, who would we look to bring in? Dana, you can kick us off if you want to, and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah, I think Blassie and Grzycki are the ones that be mentioned that I would want in. It's hard to try to find someone that wouldn't cost a lot. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd love Dembele of Peterborough, brother of Karamoko. I think he's a versatile forward. He started out on the wing and now he's playing as a striker. He's having a really good season. Marcus Harness at Portsmouth, he really allows a fluid movement up front. He buzzes around in certain positions. I think he's more of a sort of attacking midfielder, so potentially a replacement for Roberts, but we're not going to sign anyone from a higher League One club that are challenging for promotion. Maybe somebody from a Premier League side, like a youngster from a Premier League side. I would love Emile Smith-Rowe, but given Arsenal's plight at the moment, battling relegation with Newcastle, I can't see him being loaned out. I don't know, it's a tough one. I was trying to look for players like Akpom that were, English players abroad that have maybe gone further afield to sort of resurrect, if you like, their careers. I couldn't really find anyone that immediately stood out, but for me, Balassi, Grzycki, sign Ashley Fletcher on an extended deal, and maybe somebody else to replace Patrick Roberts should he leave. But it's an interesting and quite important month for Boro, January, because by the end of it we probably will see whether, it's a make or break month for a lot of teams, and we'll probably see whether we are supposed to be in the playoff places or whether it's just sort of above our grasp. And I'm hoping that Steve Gibson can back him, and I'm sure he will in some capacity. It might not mean that or it might mean that we're not spending loads, because we just can't in the current climate, but I feel as though he will back him in some way, shape or form, and we will elevate the team in order to really kick on in the playoff battle.
3 good signings there, then I'd take them if you could. Else, who would you look to bring in?
I couldn't really think of names, to be honest, of players, but I think one position that possibly needs cover is centre-back. We've seen that we've had a couple of injuries. We haven't been really plagued with them, I think, this season, but we know that especially if Sam Morsey was going to be out yesterday, that could have really tipped the balance in what we'd have done with Howson and Morsey both out. So I think we've seen what could be done if there was a couple of people in the positions. Obviously, we've got McNair and Fry there now, but you've really only got Wood after that, and we're quite lucky that we have even used McNair as a centre back at times. So I think centre backs are a potential good, a position to cover. We were linked with Nat Phillips back in the summer, but seeing as though he's been playing for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp seems to really like him, I don't think that'll be a feasible deal possibly. So. But I think a good shout from Premier League teams of people who aren't getting games. Obviously, I know we got asked the question, I think, by Ben Strickland the other week. Was it if Vidra was one? I know people have touted around John Lundstrom, because I know he's not signing a new contract at Sheffield United, and they'll look to possibly be on the way down anyway. So there's a couple of players who potentially are Championship level or in the Premier League who aren't getting a look in, who I think we could look at. So. Yeah, look around there, and I think it'll probably be easier to get hold of one of those than, as Dana mentioned, someone at a promotion chasing League One club. You wouldn't leave a good atmosphere in the club that you've got and potentially a chance of promotion to. Not that I'm saying we're going to go down, but to just to go up and potentially be a bit part play. If you've got a good thing going at your club currently, you don't really want to leave. So, yeah, I think people aren't getting games in the Premier League and or in the Championship. So.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think we're both your points there. I think in an ideal world, I'd love to bring in Alex Mowat. I'd also like to have Grzycki and also have Balassi as well. And it'd be good to bring those type of players in. I think I've went a little bit left field on a couple of mine, and I've went to my beloved Anderlecht to actually go down that route. I'm not saying the Metro, no. However, he has been on fire for Anderlecht this year. I think he scored 9 goals, I think, for us. And people ask me why he support. I don't know. I wanted the second team because you two both follow German teams. And I was like, I'm gonna go left field and go. 2. Is it 2 German teams you?
Oh no, it's just trying to be cool, but
I
not
was
being
1860
cool.
Munich. I think you followed. 1860 Munich and Bielefeld, but I just decided to support Anderlecht or watched a few of the games. Started pretty much when Company took over. I was like, they've brought in quite a lot of players over the years, like Fellaini, Lukaku, Company, for example, obviously, but then there's quite a few more as well. But there's a couple of players that have haven't really been featured much, but when they have, they look like really top talents. I think Francis Amuzu, who's a right winger, rapid, absolutely rapid, but he's only still young at 21-year-old. So it's like I want to gamble on him, and then also you've got the likes of Bogdan. Pronouncing it is brutal pronunciation, but Bogdan Nikоличенко, he is a left back. I mean, he's like 22, 23-year-old. Very solid, and I feel like he could be a player that could play on that left-hand side of centre half, but then also push out to a left back and role if we needed to as well. He's very, very good on the ball and can pretty much spray a pass as well. So they're the two I think I'd probably look at. One defensively and one offensively as well. But then these have both mentioned there's a lot of players that aren't playing in the Premier League that we could potentially look at. But then also look at the teams in and around the League One as well. So I think Boro are right, and I think they will bring in 2 or 3 players, but it has to be the quality there that we need, and we need players probably for now rather than looking for someone who is a bit younger. And hopefully got the career at the feel like Amuzu. I think Amuzu is going to be a talent in the next couple of years, but we'll soon see that anyway. But a little fun fact, if anyone's interested in FIFA from like 2018 maybe, that Zachary Bakali plays for Anderlecht, and he can't even get a game. He's had so many bad injuries. We can't even get into company side at the minute. But yeah, that's the Anderlecht breakdown podcast. So
I've got a question for Elliott. Elliott, would you what players would you take at Boro from Bielefeld?
What, take from Boro to play for Bielefeld?
No, the other way around.
Oh,
Did I say that wrong? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just got the wrong way. But God, I think this season, I think a lot of them would be, I wouldn't say too good, but trying to think of a position that we need and a position that would, I think, really help out. Centre back wise, I think they've got 2 that they basically played the majority of last season and started again this season. But I think one's bordering about 29, 30. But there's one, I think he's got 22. He's called Amos Piper, something like that. Yeah, he's had really rave reviews, particularly last year in the Bundesliga too. But I think that'll be a good shout for there. In terms of further up the field, it's weird in the way in which they play with wingers and whatnot. They've either converted centre attacking midfielders to wingers or almost like Stuani types to wingers. So yeah, I mean the left winger who done really well last season and up there again this season is Andreas Vogelsammer, but I think that would be a feasible deal. Yeah, I don't think there's many really. The only player I think that most people would know who is just signed for them this season is Mike van der Horn.
Oh yeah.
He went there.
Yeah, so they didn't really obviously the money's even a bit more less coming up from Bundesliga to the Bundesliga than it is the Championship to the Premier League. So I think they only brought in like 5 players, and they were all just free transfers pretty much. So they've loaned a Japanese player actually from PSV. I think it's called Ritsu Doan, who's becoming a really pivotal player for them this year. But they're going to need it to stay up. They just beat Schalke yesterday actually. And Schalke were at bottom, so Schalke could be another fallen giant of like Hamburg at some point. So, yeah, I think I'll put it on 2. I'll put it, yeah, Amos Piper and Vogelsammer, but yeah.
Well, then you may as well say 1860 Munich. Who would you bring in then? If you could bring in
Mulders.
1 or 2.
Oh yeah, of course, Sasha Mulders, of course. But also, no, I think Dennis Dressel and maybe Steinhardt. I think Steinhardt's maybe 29, but very good set piece taker. Left back, gets forward. I think those 3, yeah.
Enough. Hey, it's nice to have a bit of European football knowledge there. It's nice, wasn't it? Hey, following different teams around the globe. But let's chat about Rotherham then. And let's move on to that. And obviously, it's a game that could potentially be in doubt as well, with Rotherham having a few players that have been struck down with COVID-19. So we don't really know the ins and outs of it yet, but we'll break it down anyway. Dana, if you want to... I'll start that again. If you want me to pass you the mic...
Yep.
Break them down.
Absolutely. So they've played a 4-3-3 for the majority of the season, but they have been playing a 3-5-2 of late, and they like to get up high, they like to press, they like to get tight with their five in midfield, but they do tend to resort to long ball, which a lot of their fans are not too happy with. And I mean, it's not working for them because in the last 6 games they've won 1, drawn 1 and lost 4, so not going too well there. But much like ourselves, they don't tend to dominate possession. They average 46.7%, we are on 46.1%, but what they do when they have the ball is they try to work it out wide, and their 12 crosses against Blackburn is actually a low amount for them because they had 31 against Bristol City, 18 against Watford, 30 against Coventry and 16 against Brentford. Given how good a team Brentford are, is actually a decent amount. But one of their major weaknesses is their game management. They've actually dropped 12 points from games in which they've led this season. And one Rotherham fan said, my feeling is we are a squad of individuals rather than a team, which is being exploited by better organised sides. And as soon as I read that, it alerted me because we are a very organised side. So potentially if the game is sort of, maybe 1-1, 0-0 towards the end of the game, we can maybe see exploiting them there. But I think they're missing Sean McDonald in midfield. His experience, the former Bournemouth midfielder, he's ruled out till the new year with a broken leg. And they're also really struggling to convert shots into goals. They average 11.3 shots per game, but only 3.1 on target per game. So, obvious issues there. And, the 3 at the back, it becomes 5 when they're under the cosh, but what you'll see is they'll condense and they'll come very narrow. And Watford and Blackburn actually exploited this and scored goals from it. So, they have that 5 at the back, but they leave a flank completely free. And it's happened a few times this season where there's just been a ball over the top towards the winger. And that's how Adam Armstrong scored his winning goal yesterday, because it came from a ball over the top. So, that's a weakness, but one to watch. I think Dan Barlaser, 23 years old, midfielder, signed from Newcastle. 3 goals, 1 assist this season. Tops their charts for key passes, passing accuracy and interceptions. I can see if Rotherham go down, I can see him being picked up by a more established championship team. So definitely one to watch there.
Screams Blackburn, doesn't it? Screams Blackburn if they get relegated. But no, a good breakdown. Els, is there anything to add to that?
Yeah, there was one thing I looked into which kind of followed on from what Dana said there about converting chances. It comes back to the XG that I've been looking into.
XG.
The actually expected goals that this kind of should have had this season is 24, but they've only scored 18, whereas their expected goals against pretty much nigh on where it's at. They've conceded 27 and their expected was 29. So they have found it difficult to actually put away the chances. So yeah, I think when Dana said that there, even about an organised side, it's kind of already cemented a little bit of my prediction in my head, because I think we can easily pick apart a team like this with our organisation and man marking and sort of hard work across the pitch. Looking at other players in the team, there's not a whole load of players I think who, unless you're a deep statistician of the championship, that you'd know off the top of your head really. Dana mentioned a few obviously up front as well. They've got Kyle Vassell. I think we were once linked with him. Was he from Cardiff, I think, was it? A few years back we were linked with signing him. Freddie Ladapo is the top scorer for them, also up front. They've also got Joss, I can't pronounce his name, the guy from Derby, Joseph Soon or something like that.
Joseph Soon, Florian Joseph Soon, yeah.
Yeah. I recognise his name straight away, obviously from Derby, and obviously Jamal Blackman from that wonderful game at Anfield once upon a time. So yeah, I think if the game does go ahead, I haven't heard nothing else on it yet. They've refrained to make a comment other than the game yesterday. But judging if it was put off yesterday, I feel like it might be postponed, given that normal sort of quarantine is 10 to maybe even 14 days. So, it's a bit rubbish really that we might not have a game on Boxing Day. But it is what it is, I guess. And if it does go ahead, I'm quietly confident for, that will, for a positive result.
Oh, well, that leads us nicely to predictions. And what have we got for our score predictions this week? And I'm just going to throw out there, mind the gap, guys, mind the gap, because I'm absolutely flying at the minute. Absolutely
Oh
flying.
God! Oh well,
Yeah,
we need to knock him off his little perch here.
Yeah, I need to get one at least of a 3-pointer, and we need to start closing the gap.
That's all I've been getting. All I've been getting is 3
that's what it is.
points.
Mine and Dana's have been predominantly 1-pointers, and I think Dana's had maybe one or two threes. But when your points have been picked up, Johnny, it's just like you hardly ever get the actual result right. You'll just get every couple of weeks you'll get a scoreline like bang on, leaving us for dust. So,
Oh dear.
but I think I'm gonna go with a 2-0 victory.
I was gonna go for the
Victory
exact
for
same.
Elliott.
Yeah, I was gonna go for
2-0
2-0
for
2-0 as
Dana.
well.
I was going to go 2-0 as well.
Can't do that. Then if we all do it, we haven't made it for the ground.
Yeah,
Give us
yeah,
a
that's
fighting
it, isn't
chance,
it? I
Johnny.
feel like. Well, the reason why I think 2-0 is that they set up and the way they set up as well with the 5 and they're coming narrow and they become more compact is if we move the ball quickly in the first half and get a goal and within the first 30 minutes, we should be able to dictate the game quite quickly. I think the game's going to be one where probably on the counter-attack, I think we're going to probably sit in just as much as they are. It's going to be a horrible game to watch. I don't think we're going to be very entertaining at all. But I do think that if we get a goal within the first 30 minutes, we should be able to come off in the second half and hopefully get the second goal. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 as well. Sorry, guys, but that's the way I'm going to go with it. But that's pretty much it, guys.
If the game doesn't go ahead, we can, it gets played in say March or something. We might all change our mind and redo the predictions.
I wonder how far ahead I'll be then.
I was going to say they probably won.
Yeah. Stop the count. Right, okay, well that's it, guys. Thank you very much for joining me as always, and thank you to the Boro Breakdown listeners. Really do appreciate every single listen we've got. But we're back next week for our final pod of the year, where we're going to probably talk about Rotherham if it's on, but also our favourite moments of 2020. So watch out for our thread on that as well. But that's pretty much it. Boro are 6th in the championship, and to quote Chris Rea, we're driving up the championship for Christmas. But this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that's all of your match day chatter in a pod. The Boro Breakdown.